Welcome in, everyone. My name is Jeremie Poplin. Thank you for tuning in here from Griffin Media in downtown Tulsa, where today we're going to talk a little college football, part of our ongoing efforts to give you more of an insider aspect about the news that you hear, read, and see every single day. So today my guest is University of Tulsa Athletic Director Justin Moore. Just last week, the American Athletic Conference approved an initiative on Friday that established a minimum standard of benefits that schools are going to be required to share with athletes in this new revenue sharing era of collegiate athletics. This is the first move that a conference has made such as this. This is a minimum investment program, as it was deemed from the American Athletic Conference. So what that means is that schools now have to share with athletes at least $10 million in additional benefits over a 3-year period. That starts with the 25-26 academic year. This is kind of the brainchild of the commissioner, Tim Pernetti, and he, in the statement, talked about how this initiative is something that could set the American Athletic Conference apart from every other conference. So you have a minimum standard now that you are required to hit, and if you don't within that 3-year window, then your membership could be up for review. So it sets a minimum standard that you have to set. And if you don't, which most schools in the American seem like they're going to, then your membership could be in jeopardy. So I wanted to reach out to a man that knows all about this. He is the athletic director at the University of Tulsa, and he's Justin Moore, who joins us now. All right, Justin, thank you for joining me. Let's just start from the beginning in the announcement that was made from the American Athletic Conference. What does it mean now moving forward for the athletic department at the University of Tulsa in committing $10 million over the next 3 years?
Yeah, so it was a conference initiative, and the reasoning behind it really was to continue to elevate the American as the top group of 6 conference. And Commissioner Pernetti felt like it was important to come out and make a statement to show the level of commitment of all of the schools that we are committed in this new world to provide the resources to our teams to give them a chance to be successful. And again, as much as anything, the optics of that we are trying to continue to elevate the status of the American. And so that's what the goal was. And we had many conversations and meetings about it over time to kind of get to what we felt like was the right number. And so the $10 million is over 3 years. They have left a lot of flexibility in there so that every school can kind of get there on the timetable that they can get there. And there's a lot of other things in the minutia of it that you can include. And so if you're already doing Austin money to your student athletes, if you add new scholarships, a lot of those values can count towards that cap. So it's not just a pure new revenue share number. They're allowing schools to have that flexibility because, to be honest, every school is in a different position. But ultimately, the goal is how do we continue to elevate the American to be the top group of 6 league and continue to separate ourselves.
Can you basically break this down by saying this is a strength in numbers type of commitment to each other with the members of the conference?
Yeah, I think it's just as a conference, you're only as strong as your weakest link a lot of times. And so making sure that everybody is committed and going to participate helps the whole, right? And so that's the goal, is how do we work together as a conference and continue to move all of us forward. And every school is a little bit different in how you do that. But again, ultimately, we're in the conference. We can all help each other. And the ultimate goal is to help elevate all of us so that as the new world continues to unfold and develop, that we've put ourselves in a good position.
How is the University of Tulsa positioned to move forward with this over the next 3 years?
Yeah, we're in a good spot. I could not feel better about, again, our alignment from the board to President Carson and through athletics. And then now it's my job to get all of the coaches aligned and on board. And I feel really good about our plan. And again, I've told our coaches our expectations are going to be to win the American. My job is to provide them resources that match those expectations. And so it's not fair for me to say, you have to win the American and then provide them bottom of the American resources. That's not fair, and it's honestly, that wouldn't work. Now, I don't think you have to always have the most money, but you do have to have a chance. You have to be within that realm to have a chance to win. And we're going to be able to provide that. I feel great about it. I think our coaches understand the support that they're getting. And again, I'm optimistic and couldn't be more excited about the future.
One thing that I think with the shift and the dynamic change in collegiate athletics to me is I like the regional aspect of collegiate sports and always have. I know that we've kind of shifted away from that from a big picture perspective, but this to me, one of the problems with doing that is it forces everyone to always look at the power conferences, and we always bring up the Ohio States and the Texas A&Ms of the world in terms of level of revenue and what they're able to use year to year now in the $20.5 million cap that everyone's going to sign up for. But schools that are in the American, like the University of Tulsa, other G5 conferences, they don't need to worry about those other schools. They need to focus on those schools that they're competing with on a regular basis. And I think this puts more emphasis on that.
You must have been in the last head coaches meeting we had, or I need to bring you in, because it's exactly what I told them. And I say this to anyone that will listen. What Ohio State and Texas A&M are doing, and even Oklahoma, is completely irrelevant to us. We don't play them consistently. And I've told our coaches, your expectation is going to be to win the American, not win the Big Ten, not win the SEC. And so you have to really focus on what is the real thing you need to be comparing yourself to. And so at a higher level, it's focus on the American and the other top of the group of 5 schools. And we want to try to get to where Boise State is, right? Like that's a aspiration of ours, but that is the top of the league, not Ohio State, right? So understand who our competition really is. The other thing I tell our coaches is you need to worry about your sport in your league. So if I'm providing certain level of resources to soccer, that has nothing to do with softball, right? You need to worry about what are the other soccer programs getting in the American versus what softball getting. It's two different worlds. And so I think it's really important to compare yourself to the right things. And we talk about that a lot. So the way you said was exactly right. Worry about what do you have to win in the American against your peer competition.
The other thing that you mentioned, I think that piqued my interest at the beginning of this was with the overall idea of having a little bit of flexibility because everyone is different. How important was that? And then that 3-year window for them to get to the $10.5 million because everyone's on different terms when it comes to financial aspects.
For sure. And it's, it's interesting that I've learned about the American. There's a lot of different types of schools in the American, right? You have small private schools like us, Rice, Tulane. You have Army and Navy that are military that aren't even in this conversation because they can't participate in revenue sharing. You've got, larger state schools that get a lot of money from their student fees like North Texas and UTSA. And then you've got Wichita State, which doesn't have football. So it's the commissioner has a very challenging job to get anything passed because everybody is so different. And so I think it was critical that we had to have flexibility because everybody's in such a different spot. And I don't think without that, we could have got anything passed or agreed upon. And so, not only is everyone financially in a different spot right now, but the mechanics of how they have to handle the money. And are you at a public institution and you're using state dollars? And so certain things you can use them on and certain things you can't. Again, there were so many intricacies to it that they had to provide the flexibility for it to have a chance to pass.
Here's the other thing that I love about this when I read the release. And then when I think the first details came out from Yahoo and Ross Dellinger, the first thing that stood out to me, Justin, was proactive. Because for so long, we've seen this sport, and in some cases, schools, conferences, just be reactive to things that are happening around them. This was an opportunity for your conference to really, step out close to the edge and scream, "This is what we've done. We're being proactive." And personal opinion is I think this might have changed the game a little bit, because who knows what the future looks like. We've now seen unequal revenue sharing in the ACC. If you think that there weren't some wide eyes from other conferences that were looking at that, we've had elements of that in the past just based off of survival. Do you think that you guys might have maybe changed the game a little bit in terms of having a minimum standard?
Yeah, this was for sure Commissioner Pernetti's baby. Like this was his idea. He's been talking about this for a while, and I think he was exactly right. And it's been really cool to see. And we talked about a lot of different iterations of this over time. And when we got to the 10 million and the way it rolled out, we all felt good about it. But it's worked exactly how I think we intended it to. And you've seen a lot of the other, particularly other group of five conferences kind of panicking and saying, oh, well, everyone's going to opt into the sub. Well, of course, right? And so, but no one has a plan. And I do think a lot of them are reactionary. And so I just applaud the commissioner. It was a lot of his work really guiding us. And look, we have been working at this since I got here. Yeah. I feel really good about where we are. We have been prepared. The mechanics of how we're going to manage this, I couldn't feel better about. We were always kind of waiting on, okay, what are the resources going to be? And then we have it built. So when we know the number, boom, it's just in there and it's already populated. So we have been prepared. And I think that's the only thing you can do in this new world. You can't get hung up on things that are outside of your control and what might be coming in down the line. Otherwise, you're going to just live in a state where you're always worried about what's going to happen and you're reacting. I think the schools that can generate enough resources but have a good plan and make the right decisions on where you allocate the resources to the most impactful areas, that's who's going to be successful. Because look, none of us in the American are going to share revenue at 20.5 million. And none of us have everything that we want in our budget. But again, I tell our coaches, it's the same if the schools that you're playing. You're not going to have everything, neither are they. And we've got to make the right decisions of the money we do have, where are we going to put it that has the most impact? And I think you have to have a plan and be prepared that allows you to be proactive. And so, again, I think Commissioner did a great job, and I feel really good about where we are from a planning perspective. And look, now we've got to go out and execute and do all the things that already goes into winning and losing, but this is going to be a big part of it.
Last one before I let you go off to spring break. I feel like I ask you this every time that I have a chance to see you, but you've been on the job a while now, and I know when you first got here, you said, hey, I'm going to kind of sit back, see how things figure out the way that things operate around here, and then start putting the pieces together. It feels like that there's been a ton accomplished in the very short amount of time that you've been here, Justin. Where are you at on not just your comfort level with being the head of the athletic department, but just everything that you have accomplished in such a tumultuous time in collegiate athletics?
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I think it's been 8 months. Sometimes it feels like I got here yesterday, and sometimes it feels like I've been here forever. I'd say the biggest thing is I feel really fortunate to have been able to hire some really good staff members that have come with me. I couldn't feel better about that. We've got a great team, great group of people, and we love being around each other. We love working. And I do think that we've been able to do quite a bit in 8 months. But it's like every day we just keep adding. There's so much to do that I don't feel it's hard feeling like we've accomplished anything because there's just still so much out there to do. But I feel really good about who we have on the team. I feel really good about our plan. And again, I've said this many times. You don't really know when you take a job until you get there of what's the place really like, who are the people. It is so much better than I expected in almost every way. And I would say more than anything, the support and the alignment from campus has been unbelievably helpful. And without that, we couldn't do really anything to make any significant change. And so that has been such a great, just important factor that we've had. And enjoy working with President Carson and the board. We had a board meeting yesterday. Like, it's just really important, but makes my job more fun to have that alignment. And so the support has been good. And there was more in the system than I was expecting. I think there's a new way, and in the new world, it allows some new mechanisms to maybe allocate the resources in a different way. And so, yes, do we have a lot of work to generate new resources? Absolutely. And that will always be a big part of this job. But where we're starting from is a little better than what I would have expected. And now we've got to make decisions on how do we allocate the resources that we do have.
Justin, I can't wait to see where it all ends up. And I appreciate you so much for taking a few moments to join me. Enjoy your spring break, and let's go get a Tulsa basketball win in the conference tournament as well.
That's right. Let's get hot and go on a little run.
That's right. Justin Moore, the athletic director at the University of Tulsa.